Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. You're watching The Sit Down. I'm DJ Sixsmith. Meagan Good is here with us. If not now, when? Her brand new movie, one of the directors in it as well as an actor. Meagan, nice to meet you. How are you?
Nice to meet you as well. I'm good. I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. It's a new year. There's good stuff to watch. This movie looks really awesome. And I think one of the things I enjoy the most in terms of reading about it, watching the trailer, is that you lay it all out there. Life is messy, life is difficult. We're going to talk about addiction. We're going to talk about love. We're going to talk about the struggle here. So, what was it like to make a truly authentic movie and have this canvas where you could just spill it all out here?
And man, it was incredible. We ran into a lot of opposition with people saying that no one wanted to see a Black female drama. And our conversation was like, first of all, it's not even really just about being Black. It's really about the experience that these characters are having. But we did have a lot of people just really kind of saying, like, look, uh, we're not ready for this. And I'm like, but we had these movies in the 90s and they were really informative for me because I could see myself in a different way. And so to be able to come into a situation where we were able to make the film that we wanted to make without people kind of telling us what to do, we had complete autonomy and complete freedom. And then also to authentically make something that we all deal with and we all experience, and it never really gets fully explored in film. You might touch on it on a show here or a movie there, but to really get into the conversations of what happens when you can't have kids and your marriage doesn't survive because of that, or what happens when you can have kids and you get pregnant and you're not even sure you want to be a mother, or what happens when you give up your dreams and and you start a family, but you really feel like that's your purpose and the marriage doesn't work out. And so just these common themes that everybody experiences in life, through the canvas that we want to show it, it's been pretty incredible to get this opportunity and to see it all the way through and to be like, oh my God, it's coming out Friday. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah, I
hit
mean,
a lot of really important things there. It's 2021, the industry is advanced, but there's still several challenges. And even being a director, like I'm sure that's something that's piqued your interest. But did you have people saying like, Megan, it's not the time yet, just focus on the acting, or how did the whole directing thing kind of happen for you? Why don't you explain that?
For sure. I knew that I wanted to produce years ago and I didn't get a ton of support. And so I really just had to figure it out on the fly and make mistakes, and ultimately did, and produced a few films. And then with directing, I knew that I wanted to do it, but I wasn't quite sure when I wanted to. And I kind of fell into it when my cousin Dijon was coming off of the show Glee, and he wanted to do a music video. He wanted me to produce it. And I was putting together the director, and he was like, well, what happens if we can't get him? And I was like, well, if we can't get him, I'll direct it. Ha ha ha. And we couldn't get him. And so I remember being like, okay, gosh, I'm really going to direct this. And I thought that I didn't know what I was doing at all. And then I got to set and I felt like I was going to throw up for sure. And then about 15 minutes later, I realized, I was like, wait, I do know what I'm doing. Like, I may not know the exact name of that lens, but I know exactly what I want it to look like. And I know exactly what my vision is. And it surprised me because I've been watching people direct pretty much my whole life, that I knew a lot more than I realized that I did. And I instantly fell in love with it. I instantly fell in love with it not being about me, and it not being about hair and makeup and being about me, but really about serving other people and serving the actors and serving the project and being super intentional about what I want to put into the world. I just felt head over heels for it and didn't expect to do film. I did a lot of music videos. I did short film. I did web series, but I didn't expect to do film right when we did it. And I'm so happy that I did, and really looking forward to doing a lot more of it.
You have such a great perspective because, like you said, you've been doing this thing for such a long time. And even for this movie, like Lexi Underwood's in the movie, and she's somebody that's just coming of age, and you had that experience as a kid in Hollywood. So what was it like to be in that older role and shepherd her throughout her career in this film?
It was amazing. It was amazing. Lexi is really, really, really a special little being, and she reminds me so much of myself. And it's fun to watch her come into her own, and to trust all of her instincts, and even to see her activism in real life. And just, I'm super proud to know her and super proud to have played her mother in this film. And I remember there was one day I was shooting a scene where it was one of my rehab scenes, and Lexi had came in and she was shadowing Tam and I, and she asked Tamara, she's like, hey, is it okay if I give Meagan a note?
Hmm.
And so as we're getting ready to shoot the scene, Lexi comes running in and she whispers in my ear a note. And I was like, oh, that's a really good note. And so I do it in the scene and it totally takes the scene to another level. And Tam's like, cut, that's great. And I'm like, Lexi, it's amazing. And I was like so proud that, we were able to nurture her in that way and able for her to feel free enough to even ask, for her not to feel intimidated to give someone older or someone who's been in the business for a long time and say, hey, I think this is where you can actually take it to the next level. And I feel very privileged to be able to have done that with her on her first film. And I can't wait to see what she does next. It's pretty exciting.
That's a really amazing story, and it's just really cool for you because you've seen all these different chapters of Hollywood in your life. I mean, why don't we
Yeah.
wind it back? Take me back to your memories as growing up in the LA area, being a kid, and just like immersing yourself in this whole new world here.
I started when I was like 4, like doing extra work on like Doogie Howser and Amen and Marshall Fields commercials and stuff. And then I think it was really kind of more of a hobby for me. And I would get teased in elementary school for being in the Barbie commercial or in junior high for being in Friday or whatever it was. And it wasn't until about the time I did Friday that I was like, wait, and I was 13 then. I was like, I really, really, really want to do this. But what I learned early on is that my climb has been a very slow but steady one. So I was a Nickelodeon kid, I was a Disney kid. I mean, I've had all these unique experiences in the business growing up. And because my climb has been what it's been, I've been able to gain perspective, I feel. And I've been able to say, okay, this is not who I am. This is just what I do. This is not my identity, because if this becomes my identity, then I'm in for a very rude awakening. And so I think being able to have the experience of being 21 and you go out to the club and you end up waiting an hour to get in, and then next year you have biker boys out and you walk straight up and like the person's at the door is like, oh, Kid Rock's my friend, who do you got with you? And I'm like, 4 guys. And they're like, sure, walk in, you want a table? To a year later and you're like the same promoter, you're like, hey girl, and she's like, hey, and you're waiting 30 minutes and you're like, got it. And the next year you have a movie, so I've been able to gain perspective, and I'm really, really thankful for that, because it's allowed me to understand that God has allowed me to be here, and to understand that everything I get to do is a gift, and to really focus my energy on being humble and being thankful and helping other people and trying to do something that is bigger than me and is really um, intentional about putting something good into the world that hopefully does something for someone else.
Yeah, I think the recognition at the club is a good indicator about where you're at in your career and where you're at in your life. And I mean,
Yeah.
who's making fun of you for being in Friday? Come on, like that must have been
Oh,
such
yeah.
a cool thing in junior high, right? Like paint that picture for me.
No, people got on me about it. They'd be like, hey, Megan. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, man, I hate him. And I'm like, right. And it happened all the time. And I think some people maybe did think it was really cool, but they just didn't give me credit for it. They would tease me about it. And I actually didn't mind it, but I think at a certain point, I'm like, okay, guys, got it. Like the movie's been out for a year already. Like, can we move
Let's
on?
move on.
Yeah.
How about the cousin Skeeter days? That was obviously a big chapter of your career. What's most memorable about that experience?
Cousin Skeeter, I started the pilot when I was 15 and I went to shoot the show when I was 16. So for pretty much all of high school, after ninth grade, I was not in school. I was on set doing school. I was in homeschool. So my world of teenagehood really became me and Robert, 2 kids on a set, who, whatever other kids came in, Christina Milian came in for a few episodes. I mean, whoever it was, but that was really my teenagehood. And, when the show was over, I was 19 and I cried like a baby. And it was interesting because me and my best friend, she was a year younger than me, or a few months younger than me. And she was like going to college and going to homeschool. So I would sleep at her house and we would like sneak out of the house. And like, we were like 16, 17 years old. And we had a lot of freedom, as well. So it was interesting, those kind of informative years. I had a ton of freedom and was having a very unique experience. But also I wanted to go to prom. I went to 2 proms, but they weren't mine. Instead, I got to go to the Kids' Choice Awards, which I was like, okay, but I definitely wanted like that 10-year reunion or that 20 or 30-year reunion. And that's stuff that I won't get a chance to do, but I don't regret it. I wouldn't do it any different. but it definitely was a very unique experience, you know. And instead of this, I did this. And it was like, okay, well, that's just my experience, you know.
And listen, you can have your reunions with people you've worked with in TV shows and movies. I mean,
There
listen,
you go.
you got to Think Like a Man cast. That cast will be with you for a long time. When you think about those movies, they were such huge smashes. What were your expectations when you first started the first one?
I was just happy to be there. You know, I was excited to work with Will Packer again. I was excited, you know, I mean, I was just excited about the ensemble, the cast, everybody I knew and I loved. And um, I didn't expect it to be as big as it was, but I did not expect it to be. I was just wanted to do good work. And the character Maya, I was living what she was experiencing. She had decided to not have sex for a period of time to get some clarity in her relationships and stop making bad decisions. I had literally just decided to become celibate and was doing that for the same reason and spiritual reasons. And she met her guy in the film, and I reconnected with my husband, you know. And so it was definitely everything that I've done has had a pivotal effect at certain times. Some that were obvious in that moment, and ones that really didn't come full circle to years later. And I was like, oh, that's interesting how that came full circle. So,
It's cool how life works like that. And Megan,
yeah.
you've had a great career. You're an amazing artist. Thank you so much for the time and best luck with everything going forward, all right?
Thank you. I appreciate it.